1. Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to the first episode of Level 2 of Stats on Stats. My name is Richie Stevens, your character development and emotions expert in Lit RPG, and today I am joined by the mechanic expert, Joel Harvey. Joel, how are we doing today?
I am fantastic. I'm glad to be back for the second season.
Yeah, second season. And we actually have
Yeah.
a special live episode where Joel and I will be sitting next to each other in the same room come February. And I'm very excited about that episode because, you know, if he pisses me off, I can just smack the hell out of him.
He can
And
try.
I will. I promise you, I will. And joining us for the very first time here on Stats, we are joined by the author of the Elemental Dungeon series and Dungeon Core Online, Jonathan Smidt. Jonathan, how you doing today?
Good. Happy to be here.
We are very excited to have you on. We're very excited to, talk about the great series that is Dungeon Core Online. Because if you haven't read the series, just fair warning, we are going to go into a little bit of spoiler territory, but not like super heavy duty spoilers. But we're going to talk about some of the key elements and everything for the character development and all of that stuff and the fun mechanics. Like I said, I'm the character development expert. And I like the emotional turmoil where Joel's the mechanic expert and all that fun stuff. So, before we dive into that, though, just a few things I want to go over. So, as you can tell, we are no longer doing the show on the Penultimate Conquest. I kind of went over that on the Alaron Kong episode where we discussed the land. We did move over to this channel. This channel was previously my streaming channel. But I turned it into the official Stats on Stats page. So Joel and I will be both doing streams on this side, and we're going to have some fun stuff planned. We have our YouTube page up and running. I will be getting the Alaron Kong episode uploaded soon. There was some issues with the, transferring over, but I think we got it all figured out, so I'll be working on that tonight. It's been a hectic week, and I do apologize. But we do have a great lineup coming up soon where we're pretty much booked until March. And I'm very excited about that. So I'll be planning out further ahead because Joel and I are reading some of the recommended books and discussing all of that fun stuff. But with that being said, it's time for Level 2, Episode 1 of Stats on Stats. All right.
Hype.
This is the show, and this is a delayed episode. Normally we will stream on Sunday, but someone was asleep and left their phone in the car, and I couldn't get a hold of them, even though they told me to call them, and they had 14 missed calls for me.
Yeah,
Harvey,
that happened.
all right. So let's dive in, and I guess you could say we're going to. Well, I guess, dive in, full immersion, whatever we want to call it. But, Jonathan,
Dive into the dungeon.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I mean, there's a lot about me, just in general. I always joke about that. The running joke is that I'm essentially living life like it's an RPG based off of all the things I do and have done. That being said, the most relevant stuff that's in my bio that everybody usually knows. I did 8 years in the Marine Corps. Did intel there. Used to work as a ballistic missile expert. And then my passion's always been writing, though. So eventually got to a point with Bone Dungeon being my debut novel, and with Dungeon Core Online actually being part of what helped me go full-time author early on through Patreon. So I switched over to being a full-time writer, and then I'm also getting my forge set back up because I'm also a bladesmith. So I do metalwork.
You want to run that by me again?
Yeah, I'm a bladesmith.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I need to order a sword now.
I do not have the equipment for a sword with my current shop. I just moved, finally got it in a house and everything, so I'm setting it all up. It'll be a little whiles before I'm putting out any long blades, but I do do knives and such.
Hell yeah. That's really cool. I actually didn't know that about you. I mean, I've gotten to, talk to you a little bit when we were, scheduling all of this fun stuff.
Yeah, I actually have you read Michael Miller's Ascendant series?
I've read the first
Yes.
book.
Okay. Well, for the second book, there's a pretty in-depth blacksmithing scene, and I was actually the consultant for him on that.
That's so fucking cool. That's so fucking cool. So not only you're a bladesmith and stuff, but if you don't know this about Jonathan, and if you follow him on Twitter, you'll know this, but he is scary good at Magic the Gathering. Like the first night I got to actually sit down and talk with him a little bit, he was showing me Arena, and holy hell, this man's deck is scary. Because I was watching, I couldn't even follow. I was trying to do like just commentating in my head. I couldn't even figure out what the fuck was going on because he was just like, "All right, I'm doing this. I'm like, oh my god, what is this deck? So
It wins. That's what it does.
No, it doesn't just win. It fucks with the opponent and decimates them. Sorry, had to get a drink of the new Mountain Dew Spark. It is delicious. So, when you started to write, you said that Bone Dungeon, the first book in the Elemental Dungeon, was your first book series. What kind of inspired you to do a Dungeon Core book?
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, writing's always been a passion of mine. I've been writing since like freshman year of high school. And so through that, I was working on a young adult science fiction fantasy novel. And I actually reached out to, at the time, this was way before Portal became a thing, but I'd reached out to Taryn, who's one of the founders of Portal. Just random moment of braveness. I was just like, hey, I love your books. Can you give me some advice on some of the stuff I'm writing? So he looked over some of my work. And by looked over, I mean I paid him to look over some of my work and give me editing feedback and all of this. So he really helped me clean up my writing style. And he and I stayed in touch as I was working on my science fantasy novel, which I was putting up on Wattpad. And then a couple years later, like he saw it come to completion and everything, and he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I really think your writing style would be great for this genre." And I picked up the lit RPG. Like I'd already read Ready Player One, and I've read some lit RPGs here and there. But I was just like, you have way more confidence in me than I do in myself. So I was like reading through the genre, and Dungeon Core really drew me in the most. I mean, I love lit RPG books as well. Like Hugo with the Wraithhaunt series were some of the first ones I read. VGO, James Hunter series. But something about just like Dakota's Divine Dungeon, the Slime Dungeons series, even Archaeologist Warlord, which is more RTS styled.
I've not read that one.
Oh yeah, that one's like really RTS. Like they're actually like must construct additional pylons type stuff where he's actually building these pillars to spread his influence, and his units can only like go within the pillars' influence and all sorts of stuff. And like unlocking other towers gets him new units from them. It's pretty interesting.
I'm gonna need you to message me that title so I don't forget it because my memory is sometimes really bad.
Yeah. No worries. But yeah, so it all just really clicked with me, and I was like, I really like this. Like I've played Dungeons and Dragons a lot as a kid. I've always been into, fantasy books, video games, and all of that. Like, I mean, I was a 90s kid. I think everybody growing up in the 90s pretty much lived in the gaming era of staying up late playing like grinding hours and RuneScape and stuff like that.
You just made my childhood babysitter very happy by mentioning RuneScape. That was our bonding. That and Toontown. Right. So you just struck a memory chord with me. Thank you for that. Now I'm gonna relive my childhood tonight and play some RuneScape.
That's what I do. But yeah, so that was, and so I was like, all right, cool. I was like, if you think I can do it, I'll give it a go. And he was like, yeah, cool. Just write up a sample of like what you want to do, and when you feel comfortable with it, like submit it to us. So like that day, I wrote the first 3 chapters of Bone Dungeon. Sent it to him and I was like, what do you think? And they were like, yeah, let's go with this. And so from there, I just started writing the series. Bone Dungeon was written in the span of 3 months. back in 2018. I started writing it in like July, and it was finished in October, the first draft, and then that went off to editing. But holidays and all that just
Right.
takes a little while, and so that was actually when I started writing Dungeon Core Online.
Okay.
So even though Bone Dungeon came out in 2019 and D-Core has just now been coming out in 2021, they were written originally at the very close times. DCO started out as a way for me to just kind of unwind. Because the end of 2018, I was actually leaving my ballistic missile job and getting ready to move and transition out of that career. And the wife had already moved out to where we are now. And so I was just kind of like home alone in a house. And it was just like work. And then I'd come home and I was like playing like Fallout 76 and then like writing. And I was just like, well, I looked at the genre, and like I said, I love Dungeon Core, but I also loved Lit RPG. So DCO was me just going like, hey, what type of stupid crap can I get away with? Like, let's just go all in. Like, I love all of these things about the genre, like all of these tropes. Like, it was me just taking every single trope that I loved and putting it into a story and being like, I don't really care what people think about this. I'm having fun with it. And obviously that worked.
All right. That
Yeah, it did.
it really did. And I mean, so I found the Bone Dungeon when I was kind of on my Jeff Hayes and like sound booth theater kick. Mm-hmm. So, because I mainly do audiobooks, and if you're a first time listener here on the show, Joel and I, we mainly do audiobooks, but we do like our Kindle books and everything, and we'll try to get reading done. We both work a lot, and we can power through a lot quicker on audio. But I was like, oh, this looks really good. I read Divine Dungeon, so I was like, oh, I like Dungeon Core, and there's not really enough of them. So I read it, and I was like, oh, this is good. And then it was at the time, I think the third book had just dropped on audio. So I picked up 2 and 3 and just powered through them. I was like, nope, powering through. And then when I saw Dungeon Core coming out, I was like, I know that name. Where do I know it from? Typed it into my Audible, and I was like, oh, Elemental Dungeon. It's a Dungeon Core. There's a giant demon chicken on the front cover. Fuck it, let's go. Picked it up, powered through it, and I was like, damn it, this is really good. Joel, you need to read this. It's Travis Baldree. You'll like it. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was when I was going through my big Travis Baldree kick, and I kind of just needed a one-off because I just finished Will Wright's
Cradle
series. It's like, man, I'm really looking for a one-off, and yeah, Dungeon Core Online, that definitely did it for me.
I mean, it's not really a one-off.
Well, okay, now it's not, but like, at the time, there was only one book out, so I was like, okay.
And then shortly later, book 2 dropped, and we were all excited about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to get into this book.
So Joel, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay.
Dive. Go.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, the main character. I don't know if anybody who is watching right now has read Dungeon Core Online.
Light spoilers.
But
we'll just do light spoilers.
Okay. Basically, main character James, he goes into this, he's really excited for this new video game coming out. It's a VR MMORPG with delving in dungeons, and whenever he starts to surprised because he is actually going to be the one in charge of creating the dungeon for his town. And yeah, so the economy of the dungeon core game is going to have like a huge impact on the economy of like that area. So it's kind of like extra pressure for him to do really well in creating his dungeon. And there's a lot of like awesome tropes of like lit RPG thrown in, and like I don't even know some random like his the dungeon. So whenever you start, you get to pick your dungeon type, and his dungeon type he picked was random. And yeah, so that starts out with him summoning his first mob, which is a demonic chicken. And so his first level is the demonic farm animals. And yeah,
Just demonic. Okay. So, first off, I want to say thank you for giving me Giant Dickens and Old Man Jenkins because, damn it, do we love some Old Man Jenkins here? Farmer Jenkins is the best for a boss, or well, for the first floor. He's just such a cool character. Like I was like when I first saw the cover, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but that's a giant demon chicken. Growing up, chickens were my favorite animal. All right, let's see where I'm going with this. But holy shit, I never thought a farm.
That's a Scooby-Doo reference, right?
Like Old Man Jenkins, yeah.
Old Man Jenkins, yeah. Yeah, I caught that.
There's a lot of references in this book.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot. I mean, the chickens. I mean, the Dickens are call outs obviously to the cuckoos from Ocarina of Time.
Yep. And then of course we have the knights who go knee.
Yep. And then like the sacrificial lambs, they have Baja Blast.
Yep.
Call out to Mountain Dew. Blood for the Blood God. Get some Warhammer in there,
I actually, as soon as I heard Blood for the Blood God, I stopped and I texted my buddy Michael because he's the one that got me into Warhammer, and we Joel and I have played quite a bit of Total War Warhammer 2, so yeah, there's a lot of good references in this, and I mean even crap. Oh shit, what's his name? The leader of the Knights Who Go Knee.
Oh, Z.
Z. Thank you. I was like, I know. I wanted to say it was Zach, but I couldn't.
Well, that's his name. Yeah.
It is okay. I thought. Damn, I am tired. It's been a long week. Him telling James to go watch Supernatural and all that stuff. I was sitting there and I was living for that moment because I'm like, I love the pop culture.
Yeah.
I love the character development for James and like that kind of.
What I was gonna say, like Z and his group, like they are.
They're the highlights.
Well, they're written essentially. They're us in that year. Like their age and everything actually puts them as like 80s and 90s babies. The people that grew up with that culture, even early 2000s, like people that get that reference and those jokes, and like all of the gamers who grew up in this generation and like era. And so they're still, they've still got their gaming roots, and they're just a good group of friends who have been gaming for so long together. And so they're there to throw out those references that all of my readers can just be like, dude, this is just like me and my D&D group. Like these are the jokes we're throwing around, and it's just showing that like that type of like camaraderie with that gaming group you have, continues forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Zucker's in the chat and says, yes, all of us are 80s and 90s babies. All of us.
Well,
yeah, of course we do have like an older crowd, but like not
yeah, we do,
but older than us.
Yeah, it's but it's there, like that's still pop culture and everything that they can get. So it was
right.
But it'd be kind of hard to write,
and I mean
in 2054,
so.
2057. It's in the 2050s, so it'd be kind of hard.
It's there.
I'd be pushing it if I was like, oh yeah, these are kids from much further back. That'd be pushing it a little.
So, there's a reference that we will address when we get to said character, because I know that's a reference that I thought that's what the reference was, but it wasn't until book 2 that actually confirmed it. So we'll get there in a second when we start to talk about the plot a little bit more.
Okay.
But holy shit. Let's dive into James as a character and the way he designs his dungeon with his fairy Rue, which I wanted to say Ren, but I knew that was not it. So I thank
my
you, chat,
dog's
for
name.
saying it was Rue. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
Ren's
gonna
your
say Ren
dog's name.
is Ren's Bone Dungeon.
Yes. See, I had to listen. I'm doing a re-listen to Bone Dungeon right now when I go to sleep, because like it's like something I've already listened to. Plus, I love, the Sound Booth team. They kill it, and Willem Watt, shout out to him. He's great. Whew. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, character development for James. So when we first meet James, he's in school. He overhears the kids talking about, oh yeah, Dungeon Core Online. It's gonna be a great game. Hey man, are you gonna help us level up? You're the gamer. You know all the ins and outs. Nah. I'll let you guys do your own thing. I'm gonna go in and farm the dungeons, and then of course he turns out to be the one selected to be his town's dungeon, which also really cool mechanic. Love that mechanic because it just makes it interesting for the different towns and everything, and now no dungeon could be the same. So one, shout out to that mechanic, even though Joel's the mechanic expert. I care about more of the character development.
I mean, it does add a little bit more pressure.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, like it shows it a little in the Decor books, but we're actually gonna have Dicking Around coming out soon, and that is gonna show a lot more of like the impact, in the real world that you wouldn't really be seeing from James's point of view.
I love that name. I love it. I don't know why. Maybe
Dicking around.
Maybe the child in me just, every time I hear Dickin', I'm just like, hee. No, like it's just, I love it. It's so much fun.
Celestial chickens are called chickens.
Wait, what?
There are celestial chickens, but they're called chickens.
They're called chickens.
So they're just chickens. There's
just
celestial
normal
chickens
in front of the C, and it's chicken.
Okay.
I should have honestly added a tally to say how many times we say something that ends in "icken" for this episode, because I feel like it's gonna be referenced a lot. Gotta get my.
It's literally the author just giving the readers a giant dick again.
So once we get into the game world and everything, and he meets Rue for the first time, going through his dungeon core processing, I like the fact that there is the mechanics of he chooses to do the random, and how it's going to be different for every floor. That way, no floor is the exact same, because people do get tired of just the one floor or one theme.
Yeah.
So, like, if I was designing a dungeon, I would want to be able to change it up. Like, yeah, if you have a lava or fire theme to your dungeon, you're gonna have like lava, then the fire salamanders, and like all that stuff kind of going down until you get to like the giant dragon or demons.
Yeah.
But here, I'm like, where the fuck could this go? We have farm animals. What's next? And then, of course, we get, the stuffed animals. It's stuffed
No,
animals.
steampunk dinosaurs came
No,
first.
Oh, yeah, steampunk dinosaurs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because by the time we get to the end of book 3, he's on his 4th floor.
Stuffed animals. Book 3. Well, book 2. Because there's only 2 published books. Yeah. Book 2, he's had his 3rd floor.
Okay, that's where the stuffed animals come in, because that's where we get the whole.
That's where you get Grandma Jenkins.
Grandma Jenkins, yeah.
And Exodia.
And Leroy. being referenced
Yes.
a lot.
It's okay, because the 5th floor has Sergeant Jenkins.
Are we getting a military themed floor?
He's a alien. Well, he's a
Mind-blowing.
predator.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a private conversation about that because I need all the dirt on this.
His backstory was that during the whole vortex that caused old man Jenkins to get sucked in and be turned demonic, he got transported and left on like an alien land with, to fend for himself.
Cool.
And
love
so he was found like half dead by predators, and they amped him up and fixed him up, and he became a cybernetically enhanced predator.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it way too much. Damn it! I needed this next book already. I'm way too excited. So, with the character development of where James starts out, kind of like as the nerdy, like kind of loner, doesn't really have any friends at school. His parents are always away because they do work for the company that does DCO, correct?
Well, they work for the government.
And the government.
They are, and yeah, DCO is connected to not only the company making it, but also has heavy government backing and interest in it.
Government. Joel, why don't you go ahead and go a little bit on the way since I'm the character expert, I mean, I don't know where the hell I was going with this.
Let's talk about Rue.
Yeah, we'll talk about Rue because her character is great, but also she has a lot of mechanics behind her. So we can kind of tune in on that.
So
she's a gambler.
Rue is the crazy AI pixie who is his dungeon fairy, pretty much. And she's crazy. And she's a gambler, which ties into his randomness dungeon thing. Because she always pulls the little lottery machine to decide.
The slot machine.
Yeah, the plot machine. I love that mechanic.
I said slot, SLOT.
No,
you said plot, but I think plot works a lot better because she.
But we already have the plot in the book.
True.
They're the government agency that lets me get away with shit.
But she is the plot of the dungeon. So,
fun fact: the plot, the PLOT, and decor. The whole reason that got introduced was I was sick and tired of people telling me what could or couldn't be legal in my virtual world in the 2050s. Like, you have no idea how many comments I got of just being like, this is illegal. He's a minor. This wouldn't happen legally. And I'm just like, it's like 2050 something, and we're dealing with full immersion VR. And you're basing this off of the current laws and regulations now? No. Welcome to plot.
So someone in the chat said it's 2050. Is the government Disney? Of course, I said yes. It must be praised. And they replied with Goofy Jenkins confirmed floor boss. There you go.
Oh my god! I actually I make a joke about Disney. It's dangerous territory.
You're good. You won't be copyrighted. And hey, now Winnie the Pooh's public domain. So
yeah, I almost put that as potential for the 6th floor, but
God.
I was tempted. But I knew because it's up for vote right now on my Patreon. But I was tempted, but I was like, no, everybody's gonna freaking do it, and I don't feel like writing the 100-acre woods. Even if I could have done like zombie Winnie the Pooh, I'm just like, no.
You can just make like a stuffed Pooh Bear for like floor 4 or floor 3 or something.
Make a skin for Patches.
There you go. I was gonna say it's better than what some people are gonna be doing, and that's putting Winnie the Pooh in orgies. So,
yeah. But
I mean,
we don't need that.
No, nobody needs that.
So with Rue's little drinking problem and her gambling addiction because she always wants to roll and, name the creatures and all that fun stuff. I think she's probably one of the best parts of the story. I feel like she does add a lot of light and helps. I mean, obviously, her role is to help James as he's doing this dungeon.
Yeah.
But also, I think she's a bad influence for James at some points.
Oh, if
There,
so
there's
it's kind of funny that you say that because like you have no idea how many 1 stars and negative ratings I got both on Royal Road and even on the book itself about her character. Like she was the most inflammatory character. Like people either loved her or completely hated her existence. There was no like middle ground.
Damn.
Yeah, which
That's
was really
surprising.
bad because Rue is actually my wife's username, just like Glax is my username. So like when people would just be bashing on Rue, like
Oh.
she would see those comments and then she was getting upset with me, and I'm like, I can't do this, and she's like, you shouldn't have used my username, and I was like, sorry, I like it.
Well, I'll go ahead and you say if you ever need to use my username, feel free. It's public. You can use that. I'll let people bash on me. Make me the most hated. Make my name the most hated name. I will. I thrive.
That's already
off
taken
that.
by Xander.
True. Xander fucking sucks. Like Xander sucks, but we'll touch base on him because he's an asshole.
Good at making characters you hate.
Yeah, you are. You also do a really good job at making characters we love, like Z. Z's fantastic.
Yeah, everybody loves Z.
Z's just the most wholesome character, in my opinion. So, Joel,
Yeah.
where should we go next?
Well, I mean, we could jaunt our way into book 2 a little bit.
Well, let's
Just
I think
'cause-
we have a few things left to touch base on in book 1 before we dive completely into book 2. Like, the bully at school and how he gets eaten by a mimic and, blasted online. That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That gave me Dark Souls flashbacks, and I was uncomfortable while listening to this at work.
The mimics heavily inspired by Dark Souls, and then toilet mimics.
I was going to call you out on that. You make me terrified to go to public bathrooms now. I already hate public bathrooms, but now I'm afraid I'm going to get eaten by a mimic in one. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Totally does not terrify me.
It was like it pulls on that horror, especially like the 3rd floor because they're outhouses with potential toilet mimics in them. But it's like that. You'd have those horror movies, where somebody goes out to the porta potty, and all of a sudden there's like a zombie or some sort of creature that yanks them down through the porta potty and kills them.
See, I'm a fan of Zombieland, so I always know the rules and beware of public bathrooms. So
We give Zombieland a shout out in DCO.
you do. You do. Enjoy the little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were decided to write the bully, that high school jock jackass that we all probably had to deal with, and if you didn't have to deal with him, you were
probably the bully.
You were probably the one. What made you do the whole the confrontation between the two characters, and of course, now that character is kind of MIA at the moment because of the suspension.
Oh yeah, he's gonzo. It was. I mean, everybody loves an underdog type story, but I think a big thing to point out first off is I'm a pantser, so nothing I write is planned,
right?
Ever. I just sit down with an idea and be like, "Hey, this would be a cool concept," and I just kind of start writing it, and then the characters kind of develop themselves, and as the world grows around them, I just let them build it. So it felt like that's what kind of the characters were building up towards, especially with the interactions James was having with Rue, which were kind of helping to embolden him a little more, and help him get a little more confidence in him. But then at the same time, you had all of the stress and pressure that was boiling on him and the bullshit that was being thrown at him by Xander. And he couldn't touch Xander. He couldn't touch Xander. He can't touch Blank. So he's got all those pent up frustrations. And and then he's been dealing with Rue and interacting with Rue, and she's been helping him kind of build up his confidence and come out of his shell. So like, just that day when Dwight encounters him, he's just like done with his shit. And so it's one of those like he forgets his sense of self-preservation for a moment, and it's like he's not in a video game anymore. And so that's when he like mouths off to Dwight, and obviously Dwight does not appreciate that.
Nah. Dwight's kind of a stereotypical jackass, and
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a douche. And when I first heard the name Dwight, immediately, of course, thought of The Office. So it was kind of weird to think of, because I just kept picturing Dwight Schrute.
Yeah.
But in the whole concept of, just a high school bully, Rainn Wilson. That's how I was picturing him.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things. But it was also because it kind of pointed out that one, even though there's immersion and everything, the societal issues in the real world don't go away. Like, people are people.
Yeah.
And before, like, a lot of the other games, like Dwight and his friends are going to be like would have been more of the like FPS, Call of Duty types, or they're moving into like the sports games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because full immersion sports games, those would be pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah.
But then there's also the zone and all the stuff you can do within the zone and everything. So their worlds hadn't really collided. So the whole reason Dwight and his friends are even popping into DCO was because they're trying to look for quick money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're outside of their element. And so that's why they even went after James, was because they knew those are the type of games James played, because he was quite well off from his accomplishments in fantasy type games.
Okay. All right. So we mentioned Blank, which Blank is going to be the big part of where we're going next. We've talked on Xander a little bit, talked on Dwight, talked on Z. Is there anything else we're really missing from book one other than our, boss, top hat wearing mechanical dinosaur boy?
Plays Magic.
Yes, that plays Magic. No Skeletal Fight Club, so we're good there.
So there's a Dinosaur Fight Club.
God damn it!
It gets put in book 3, with NPC unlocks.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Dickin races.
Yeah,
Rue started the good old Dickin races.
Well, then they've got pet battles already.
True.
So they're running around Pokemon training pet battles.
True.
But yeah, there's a Dinosaur Fight Club. Gets introduced at the Coliseum. It's great.
I want to touch base on the Dickin races really quickly, because when they were talking about the Dickin races and all of just the track around the farm, all I could think of was riding a chocobo in Final Fantasy 15 and just hearing Prompto go da 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 da.
Yep, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. Grew up playing all the games and everything. So, yep, Dickin race. Like, in the moment, like I said, Panzer, so I had no idea where he was going. But the moment those Dickens got the demonic growth hormone the first time, I was just like, all right, this is going to become a thing. This is so going to become a thing. And then we get like the Dickin charge later on.
Well, and
it's
there's mounts and everything too, right?
Yep. Yeah, there are mounts. Everybody's current favorite is a Dickin.
Yeah. And we have the oh shit, Zorgs. What am I thinking?
There's are you talking like the steampunk dinos, like the Zoid type inspired?
Well, that, but like during the boss fight or the
Voltron.
Voltron, thank you.
Yeah, Voltron.
I don't know why I couldn't think of Voltron.
Well, and then we have like the Zaku's and everything as well.
Yeah,
like the smaller. Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and kind of segue into book 2 a little bit, just to freshen things up, because the first book, really, that cliffhanger's fantastic. It got me pumped for book 2, and I kept checking the audiobooks or Audible and Kindle every day for book 2. I was like, all right, is this out yet? No? Okay. Is this out yet? No? Okay. And then, of course, I follow you on Twitter, and just frequently interact with you in the lit RPG groups and stuff on Facebook. I'm like, okay, just gotta watch for it. There it is. Boom. DCO book 2's out. So I screenshotted it, sent it to Joel. I was like, dude, look what's dropping soon. So of course we were both pumped about it.
I love that cover too.
Oh, I love the cover
Oh,
for
it's
book
so
2
good.
because, of course, the first thing that came to mind for me was a certain animated film that I saw 3 times in theaters when I was a kid. That is a sequel to one of the most memed animated films of all time that DreamWorks does. If you know, you know. But I just think of
monster.
it. You're a monster.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Now we're going to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has officially turned into a Shrek podcast. If you don't like Shrek is Life, Shrek is Life, get out.
You got a swamp.
So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's swamp.
Oh god, the CBD is kicked in, and I feel great now. So, you gotta admit, a giant gingerbread man just laying siege to a battlefield. Perfect moment.
Dude.
Perfect moment. I just have I need a hero playing in the back of my mind for the entire scene.
He's just on the wrong side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was he though? Because you have to remember, stuff was planned. You prancer.
Pants.
A pantser. Actually, I had to rewrite the climax.
Really?
Damn it, Joel.
Yeah, the Royal Road climax is different than the climax for the published version, which
so
obviously the
that
Royal
is
Road
one thing I
version is
wanted
no
to
longer
ask
out
about.
there.
So the book is titled Dungeon Core Online Remastered.
Yep.
So there is a vanilla version of DCO.
That was. Every time I publish, I have to take all of the previous content down because of KU.
Gotcha. 'Cause
So
I know
it
there's, like,
still
stuff-
exists, just not out there for people to find. I still have it because I have a massive Word document.
It's just locked away in the vault.
Yeah. But yeah, so the original climax, it was kind of funny because like my portal handler loved it, but he said it was too Deus Ex Machina. Like it was just too because it involved Rue activating like a cooldown that let her get out of the Inquisition style single shot skill, and then her and like the knights race over and they dunk the essence in, opening the gate and allowing the cannon to activate.
Okay.
But that all happened after like James died. So he actually died on the battlefield, and then he's just like watching all of this happen. And it's just like, what's gonna happen? Like it's all going to shit. Rue's been captured, like all of this craziness, and then you have this moment where she blows a special cooldown and gets away and everything. And there was this epic duel between her and the Candied Ace, and
That would have been
that.
super anime.
Yeah,
Super fucking anime. I would have loved that.
And so, like, he loved it, but he's just like, it's too juice. I always say it so weird.
Deus Ex.
It's one of those X, whatever. It's like one of those words like you read it, but you've never heard it enough.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, you've said it in your mind so much how you think it would be said that when you're trying to say it, you just can't trigger it. So I just avoid trying to even say it. Like, I have a list of words I try not to just say aloud because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong.
I would love
People
to
are going to call me
not
out
gonna
for
lie.
shit. But anyways, so I rewrote it. I completely just deleted it all and was like, all right, fine. Here's like a new last 4 chapters worth of shit for this epic battle.
Let's not dive into that because I don't want to spoil the ending of book 2, since we kind of spoiled the ending of book 1 with, a siege. But still, the lead up to the point, perfect. Don't worry. Us just talking the little glimpse we have about it does not compare to the actual writing and the delivery from Travis. It kills it. Whether you're reading it on the page or, not. Which we also love Travis here. We had him on the show last season and he killed it. He was such a fun guest to have on. So shout out to Travis.
Good people.
He's just a wholesome guy. So once we get into, the third floor with our wonderful stuffed animals, and we have the whole stuff going on with Blank.
Favorite enemy, by the way.
Are they really an enemy, though?
So many people got pissed about me using the name Blink.
See,
Oh my gosh.
So this is where we're going to get into it. At first...
I mean, you're throwing references out there.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you draw the line? I mean, it's kind of...
Well, it was really funny because somebody like pointed out, somebody like let this scathing review. They were pissed. And they're like, I love all his references and everything, but how dare you steal a protagonist? I mean, protagonist and turn them into an antagonist. Like, come up with your own person. I'm like, I didn't steal anything. Like, the name is an homage. Like, it's not stolen. Like, I don't have Sora and Shiro running around. Like, but they're just like, how is he supposed to beat Blank? Like, they're unbeatable. And I'm like, because it's not them. You daft. I would get in trouble if I could respond.
The comment that, how dare you take the name of, one of the most beloved protagonists and just be a shitty person.
Yeah, but like, so until that point in the story, like, people were pissed. Like, I was constantly getting just negative comments as I was riding on a Royal Road. Like, oh my God, so many people were so angry. And then the reveal happens and they're like, oh, awesome. This is great. And I'm like, I hate all of you.
I hate all of you, but please keep buying my books, please.
I was like, y'all just gave me like 80 chapters worth of ulcers and hate and depression. And then you're just like, oh, yep, this is great again. Here we go.
Judas Priest. I mean, if anything, Xander should get all the hate.
Oh, Xander does get all the hate. Oh,
He's
my gosh.
Such a prick.
Oh, man. Just wait for book 3.
Are you uncomfortable yet?
I'm uncomfortable every day of my life, Joel. You fucking know this. We've known each other for 10 plus years now. I'm in a state of constant uncomfortability. We got a comment in the chat saying we need more Frank the Axe cameos.
I love Frank.
Good old Kyle.
God.
I'm sure I might be able to slip in some hate towards the moon at some point in time.
Please do. Please. It's stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Manly gets a good amount of screen time, so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big fight against a giant undead megalodon. And I'm pretty sure I actually have a green moon show up during that fight.
I need book 3. I need book. Where are we at on book 3?
Well, it's like 240,000 words of editing, so about that. Dicking Around's going to come out first.
Okay, I'm okay with dicking around. Is that going to be on audio by chance?
Yep, Travis is doing it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Dicking Around, I should have edited. Actually, I'm aiming to get it done by the end of the week. And then it'll be off to copy editing and everything because Travis is slotted for early February narration on it.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, Dicking Around, because I mentioned it, and I don't know if you guys know, it was a Patreon exclusive.
Okay.
So nobody except for patrons has actually even seen it, which is a big deal because like Dungeon Core Online on like Royal Road, and I mean views are cumulative, but that had like 3 million plus views.
Shit.
Had a lot of eyes on it, and I don't know if that hurt or helped with regards to sales. But Dicking Around has only been seen by maybe 100 people because it's Patreon exclusive, and it follows Axel 42, which is Alex, who actually goes to school with James. So you actually get to see outside looking in, like there's scenes where Alex is seeing what's happening to James from Dwight. So you actually get to see like outside perspectives on that.
I like
and
that.
A little more of that. You get to see some dynamic in the town more because Alex's family runs a restaurant in the town. So they're the ones that open up the Dickon Shack.
That's great.
Start selling. So actually, it's kind of funny because like in book 2, we mentioned Trogdor, who is Alex's brother in real life. Riding around on this giant, like, infernal, like, special. He's got the 1 in 6,666 chance drop Dickon mount.
Oh my god!
And it's because all he's been doing is like farming Dickens to get the meat for his family's restaurant.
Okay. All right. See, and
So
it's funny because you say the Dickens Shack, and in town, right behind one of the stores I service for my job, there's Wing Shack, and they got a giant chicken on the logo. Damn it, I'm getting wings tomorrow.
That's the Fireball whiskey.
I do have Fireball too. Oh, I'm gonna be having a good night.
But oh yeah, because he's a one fun thing, because he works in a restaurant and everything, it actually like describes the taste of like the cooked chicken and like the drinks and everything. But he's a summoner, for anyone that might have forgotten. So it actually goes into more of the mechanics on his summoning. So you actually get to see like all the low level mob bullshit that he has to deal with when he's summoning. And then when he unlocks like elemental ones, there may or may not be magical like celestial ponies that he summons.
That's fucking awesome.
And he also takes down Old Man Jenkins in like the most emasculating way possible, because he summons a bunch of 1-cost celestial pixies who have a pierce attack, and he just pixie swarms the boss.
Hold on. I feel like that breaks normal summoning regulation, but also that is awesome. Like,
well, remember, he gets James, because James, his avatar is a summon. He gets the ability to summon mobs equal to his summoning points, as long as they're cost. And the pixie is a 1-cost celestial DPS mob.
I feel like playing D&D with you would be an amazing time, but also a nightmare.
I mean, I DM mostly, but I just made a giant secret character named the Meddler to fuck with my characters.
Oh my god.
So the human mage just traded 40 years of his life for a couple pages of this awesome spell book.
Judas Priest. All right, that's going to be awesome.
Good times. Homebrew items for the win.
Homebrew items are always just a fantastic.
And then they kept trying to figure out who the fuck he was, because he was the magic shop person, you know, like you always have somebody that's selling magical items. And the wizard goes in and is all like, I'm gonna identify everything, and I'm like, yeah, nothing happens. And he's just baffled. Like he's like, I'm gonna ritual cast it X amount of times in here. Do I see anything? And I'm like, no, he's just grinning at you, like doing nothing. He's just sitting there laughing his ass off. And the guy is like metagaming hardcore, and he's just like, nothing can have that many counter spells. How the hell is he doing this? What is this creature? So I went and created a whole ass character sheet for it, came up with everything. Oh yeah, it's so good. Although like they were low level. It was like level 4 for the shop right now. So what he doesn't know is the character had just used a warding bond and then had like anti-magic field set up to it, with the trigger being somebody trying to cast an identify spell in the shop. So the wizard's just trying to cast spells, but doesn't realize there's an anti-magic field up around him.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to formally invite you on to the D&D campaign that Joel and I are going to build for stats on stats, because we're going to do a couple of one-offs. That was a surprise announcement, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, we're doing a D&D campaign at some point where we're going to try to get all these authors on, or, you know, fans. I don't know how we're going to get it set up, but we're going to have it ready soon, because Joel and I are both going to DM, where he's going to work on the mechanics. I'm going to work on the storytelling.
See, I've actually been working on a tabletop for the Elemental Dungeon series world.
Go on.
Well, I mean, I've been playtesting it recently, but yeah, the whole premise of it is the DM runs the dungeon core, and then the players are adventurers in it. You don't
even need to tell me. Sold. I'm sold.
And it's a roguelike.
Sold. 30,000 times sold. Zeckler, we're sold.
As the players go in, like obviously, like it's set up to where they're not going to be able to clear the dungeon on their first run, and then every time they leave, the dungeon gets stronger without them knowing it, and they level up and get other experience, and they can train their gear and stats. So it's
sold. Just I will need more information on that, like later, because holy hell, that'll be a fun fucking time. All right, back to DCO. I get off topic a lot, and I apologize for all my listeners, and of course
I'm pro at that.
It's ADHD brain. So, Joel, what do you want to talk about in book 2 really quickly? Because we're getting kind of close to the end of the show.
I don't know. That entire second half of the book, I think, is just epic battle after epic battle after epic battle. So yeah, shout out for that.
Battle of Helm's
Like,
Keep who?
Siege Snake.
right?
There was a comment earlier that Monty was a very good siege snake boy. So
Yes.
I gotta
Monty
find it.
Best Boy.
Monty
And
Best
also,
Boy.
I mean, one thing everybody probably forgot about that was also after he'd applied the update to it that gave it sunglasses.
Yep, he did have the sunglasses.
So the Siege Snake is running around with sunglasses.
It reminded me of the plushie skin from Smite for Scylla, because of course Scylla, being the Greek goddess of the sea, she has like serpents she summons from underneath her, and she has a plushy skin, and they're cuddly snakes, and one of them has sunglasses, and I was just like picturing that one the whole time. Love it,
We have the Razor Sneaky Snakes.
love it.
Oi.
That whole siege battle was great. The battle between the dungeons, which
That whole fight mechanic of like dungeon wars
is so cool.
was, yeah, like
What? And that was, I mean, the dungeon war mechanic obviously got triggered early because of, him getting goaded into it and all that jazz.
Right.
But it was
Yeah.
part of the mechanics to keep people from getting like fatigued
Because
with regards to the dungeons, because it's a way to, one, interact with other dungeons, and then two, also it releases alongside the dungeon gates, which lets people travel to other dungeons for short periods of time.
the dungeon war mechanic was originally supposed to be by the 4th or 5th floor.
It was triggered when 2 dungeons hit tier 3.
Okay.
But he accelerated himself, and Blank, obviously being Blank, they'd accelerated themselves to it to serve as the catalyst for it, and then goaded James into racing on up to him.
Okay. Which, I mean, also, I feel like that was minor gaslighting, but also just a great storytelling mechanic. Because one, I wasn't ready for that plot twist at the end of the second book.
My gosh.
Which we won't.
Wait for the start of the 3rd book.
I'm afraid. I am utterly afraid, and the anxiety is kicking in. I have my CBD right here, and I'm probably going to need some of that after this show, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm scared, but I'm so damn excited for it. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be a massive book, though, because we're actually combining what would have been book 3 and 4 into a single book.
Oh, thank God.
how many new floors are we getting, if I can ask that?
Book 3 is going to have the 3rd and the 4th floor. I mean, not the 4th and the 5th floor. Sorry.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I'm doing the poll right now for my 6th floor, because I let people vote on floor choices.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
Although the 4th floor, I didn't let anyone vote on because that was happening. Damn it! It's Undead Pirate Adventure.
God damn it!
And so the players get this. So the players, the first time they get onto it, they all get a ship token, and they can combine it with like guildies and everything to make larger styled ships. So like Sea of Thieves style.
I knew it.
So you get the knights and obviously like boss slayers running around on their galleons, which they've named appropriately for each group.
Don't spoil that. Don't spoil that.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to spoil the name. But the ships, like as they level up, the ships give the players buffs and stuff, and they can actually modify it to make it fit the team.
Okay.
And, there's 2 different bosses on that floor. There's the secret boss, which, like I said, it's going to be on the cover. It's a giant undead megalodon.
Yes.
Called the Megalodoni.
All for it.
And
Sold.
he summons a giant Sharknado.
God damn it.
How did I know? Oh,
Flying
my God.
zombie sharks. Things you didn't know you need in your life.
Damn
Flying zombie sharks.
Samuel K. Kaufman. I apologize if I mispronounced the name. How many floors are there going to be again?
No idea.
And then Crowing
Crowing.
9 said
Yeah.
unlimited floors. Just endless
I mean,
floors.
it's definitely set up for that, and like I think about the mechanics and everything on it as I go, but story wise, like the way everything's going, and like the end state for it, because I started with an idea of a start and an end, and then how we get there is just up to the characters and everything.
Yeah.
The end state is probably going to be maybe book 4 or book 5
Okay.
at the most, because where I'm writing it now, like I just had a huge plot resolve at the end of book 3. Well, book 3's content, what should have been book 4. I'm just angry because I have to edit more than I wanted to by combining them, because I was spacing things out and trying to be lazy, and I have to combine a shit ton of words in a span of time that's uncomfortable. But yeah, a big plot point and everything resolves, and we got a lot more view of the world and everything, so it was building up to kind of my final point in the game. So I'm probably going to have well, floor 6 is going to happen, but I don't know if floor 7 or floor 8 before the series ends.
Okay.
But that being said, like I was thinking mechanics to where like once they hit their 10th floor, then they get the ability to unlock like New Game Plus styled versions of their first 10 floors that people can enter into, like alternate versions of those while it still
Hard mode.
continues to build itself up. Yeah.
I
So
like
hard
it.
modes where like the mobs and everything
Torment.
have like more stats and everything unlocked for them.
I'm all for it.
Yes. So just
But I don't know
the
if like book-wise
idea.
I'll ever get to it, but
Sorry.
okay.
Just like the idea of having like unlimited, like no limit to like the level of power you can reach makes me so excited. Because not only for like the dungeon to have like a bunch of different like unlimited floors pretty much, but the players and their classes also
that's
like
ECO was created to do that. It was created to be an infinite, never-ending world that would keep people coming in and keep them engaged permanently.
Okay. See, you said New Game Plus. Just brought back a memory. Joel knows exactly what I'm talking about because he witnessed this. We did this all in one night. We played Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin.
Did you throw too many? Did you throw the fingers into the bone shards in and amplify yourself up too much?
Hold on, no. We were seeing how many times I could practically one shot the last giant, like the one where you had to go into the tree, the tree memory. By the time I got done with that, I think I was at like New Game Plus 37 for that one boss because I just kept farming the piece for it. And I was like, yeah, I just want to see how many souls I can get. And I'm running I'm running a lightning greatsword that's maxed out, and on my sorcerer faith build. And I think, what was it, Joel? I one shot him probably like 20 to 30 times almost.
yeah.
It was
I have no
scary.
idea.
And
I just remember running the mage build where once you reach New Game Plus, like, and beat the fire boss, you get the crystal great spear or soul spear, whatever. And yeah, that thing just wrecked that boss.
See, I had like a strength build going on my Dark Souls 2 character, so I could one hand a great sword and then a tower shield at the same time. And then I would just switch out to the pyromancer, that stupid spell that like healed you as long as you were in it. Yeah, I would just drop that and then just post up with my shield and sword and be like, "Come at me, bros."
I have a clip. I'll have to see if I can find it on the Xbox app to send to you. But I have a clip where I used the Silverwood tree to transmogrify myself into like a part of the world, and it turned me into like a barrel or something, and I was just sitting there. And this guy ran past me like 20 times, and he finally messaged me. He's like, "Dude, I don't know where you are." And
I did that in Dark Souls 3.
Oh, we did that in Dark Souls 3 too, but it got to the point where I actually went up to him and like while he was typing, because like he just stopped moving. I was like, oh, he's sending me a message. He's sending me a message. So I ran up to him really quickly, and then I just backstabbed him. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
that was sneaky.
Dark Souls 3, the blasted swamp
Yeah, that's where
that
we
they
used to farm.
that they make a PvP area. Yeah, yeah. I turned into a like a barrel and posted up on like a cliff alongside a bunch of other barrels, and just watched this guy run around. And every time he went into the swamp, obviously he'd get poisoned. So I just watched this guy run around for like 20 or 30 minutes until he finally died.
We did that in Dark Souls 3 as well, but in Anne Orlando, we ended up doing that quite a bit in the throne room.
Yeah, I was gonna say you post up down in the post up in the little fountain room, next to that door that goes to that. Yeah, everybody just stands off to the side and waits for somebody to come in. Yeah,
we would use it until we got to the statues.
Yeah,
but enough on that. We'll go ahead and start wrapping up with our thoughts on the book. Joel.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What do you think?
It's amazing. So many good references, so much epic boss fights, and just war in book 2. Just all out war. It's great. Can't wait for book 3.
I missed a comment. I apologize, but someone asked, "What happens if a dungeon core stop participating as a core?" They just pick a new core, correct?
It depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah, it would come down to their handler and the situation, and everything behind it.
Okay.
Because all the dungeon cores, obviously they have handlers above them that are interacting with them and watching over them and everything. So it depends on the personalities, and then it also depends on the situation. So there's a variety of avenues that could be approached, but
will we ever get to meet the original handler for James?
Oh, that was Xander.
Oh, was it Xander? Was his actual original? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Xander hella self-imposed himself as the handler for James's dungeon, in particular because Xander has history with James's parents.
And of course, that'll probably be revealed,
which gets brought up super early in book 3.
Okay. Which can't fucking wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah, you get a bunch of the backstory with regards to Xander and James's parents and all of that revealed early on in book 3. And then a shit ton of floor 4 shenanigans, and then super spiffy big deal stuff.
Okay.
For the rest of the book.
Well,
to be as vague as possible.
I'm very grateful for that. So my final thoughts is typically I'm not huge into the dungeon core genre, but I do enjoy dungeon core books. I obviously enjoyed the Elemental Dungeon and now Dungeon Core Online. That was my big selling point when I saw your name attached to the project. I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to read this. Very good. Character development is near perfect, in my opinion. I either really love a character or really hate them. There are a few where I'm like, I need to know a little bit more about them before I can decide on how I feel on them. But for the characters that are very, prominently there, and we get a lot of the information on them, absolutely adore them, or obviously hate them because fuck Xander, fuck Dwight, they suck. And even some of Dwight's crew is kind of douchey, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck you guys, you suck. But overall, I love where the book is going. I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen. Also very anxious to see what happens. I love the relationship between James and Rue. It's just too damn cute. Also, Blank, very surprising with their character because, of course, obviously what happens. Just really good thought out character planning and development for them. Just, it keeps me coming back for more. And I'm very excited, like I said, for book 3 and book 4 and the other Dickin book that we're getting. Like, I know
Dickin' around.
That's going to be a day one purchase for me. Like, usually I borrow books from Kindle Unlimited, but I'm to the point where I'm like, yep, I have my new Kindle. It's a Kindle 10. I got it for Christmas, and I have just been on kind of a spending spree. And of course, I'm going to be ordering the the signed copies for DCO 1 and 2 from you here soon. Because
The paperbacks look so nice.
I know. I see them on the shelf behind you, and I'm just like, oh, they're pretty.
Yeah.
But
Along with D&D minis.
But that'll wrap it up for the show. So we're going to go ahead and get into the first plug of the season. And that's essentially, hey, John, where can people find you?
So obviously, as we mentioned, Amazon's where my books are for sale. Amazon and Audible, there's the Elemental Dungeon series, complete series. First book is Bone Dungeon, which, fun fact, is at like 499 reviews. So I'm like one away from 500 if somebody wants to be
on it. Because I don't know if I've reviewed it yet.
And then all those books are on Audible, done by Sound Booth Theater. They do a phenomenal job. And then Dungeon Core Online remastered editions. Books 1 and 2 are available on Amazon and Audible. Good amount of content there, 15-hour roughly audiobooks per book. So good fun times there. I'm on Royal Road under the username Glyax. I have a variety of stories there, including not only advanced stuff on DCO, because that's where it is. That's the home of it, and that's where I write every week there. I have Aced, which is a slice of life lit RPG on slice of life tennis-based lit RPG.
Okay.
On Railroad. I have Dead Exorcists, which is my augmented reality Pokemon Go, Digimon, Shin Megami Tensei inspired.
That's the one you told me about. Okay. I've been reading that one, and I really like that one.
And then, obviously, if you want to support me, Patreon, which is linked to my Royal Road, or if you just look up Glyax, again, Glyax, on Patreon, that is where you can find all sorts of extra content from me, advanced chapters for all the things I'm working on, life updates, behind the scenes, all sorts of extras and goodies. And that's also like the main thing that keeps me going month to month. So if you ever want to support a starving artist, there you go.
Well, we will definitely be giving you some of that support. Also, I just looked on Audible, and Bone Dungeon is actually at 894 reviews.
Ebook.
Ebook. Kindle.
The Kindle.
On
Yeah.
it.
I never look at it. Audible's clunky to try to look at just quickly on my phone. So I don't ever like look there. And then I stopped looking at the reviews.
You're at 500 reviews on Bone Dungeon.
Oh, yes. That must have rolled over sometime today. I haven't looked today. But yesterday I was at 499 and I was like, oh, come on. So close. And then obviously it should be obvious for everybody, but D-Core 3 is coming. There were a lot of people based off their reviews and their comments that actually thought D-Core 2 was the end of it.
Really?
Yeah, they were just like how it ended. They were like, this is a nice resolution wrap up. Like this was a good story.
I could see that, honestly. I could see that with the way it ends. But
and then I'm just like, oh no, there's so much more. Like you don't understand. I have like 600,000 plus words in this story. Fun fact: Word documents like hard crash when you hit 1,000 pages.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I do not recommend.
All right, hey Joel.
Yeah.
Best buddy, old pal, co-host. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sir Valor Hunter. Below. You can also hit me up on Discord. The Stats on Stats channel has a Discord. So come hit us up, and we are in there gaming a lot. Feel free to hop in there. And yeah, our podcast is on all the podcast apps and Audible and yeah.
And of course,
Twitch.
Yeah. Of course, you can always find me at Rich Dolphus on Twitter, but I've been I mainly take care of the Stats on Stats Twitter now. So if you want to reach out to me or anything, you can either reach out to me at Rich Dolphus or Stats on Stats Lit on Twitter. Of course, here on the stream channel for Stats on Stats, all the podcast apps, like Joel said, I am in the process of getting episode 17 uploaded with Our on Kong. If you missed that episode, it was a fun one. There was some connection issues because, internet doesn't like to cooperate sometimes. So there's some parts where either myself, Joel, or Alaron will sound kind of quiet. I think we got it under control now with how the setup is. So yeah, but you can always find us here. Joel and I have a lot of stuff planned for Stats on Stats on the channel here, where we will be doing giveaways. We're at 135 followers now, so I think once we hit 200 followers, I'll be doing a giveaway that I talked about in the last episode, where I'll be either giving away the entire series of The Land on Kindle or on audio. So, yeah. But I think we're also going to set a subscriber goal for that as well, just because that's going to be pricey. Because books. But we have a lot of giveaways planned for the subscriber stuff. Like I talked about, we are going to be doing a D&D setup where we get guests on to do like a one-off. So we'll either bring in some listeners or we'll just get authors on. I'm going to try to get a bunch of narrators together so we can do that, because I feel like that would be a fun time. But
I've
that's
done
all.
Cards Against Humanity with Will. That's good fun.
That would be awesome. We can also do that. So I'm going to try. And of course, there's online versions of Cards Against Humanity, so we can do it that way. But if you like the show, please follow us on the podcast apps, leave a review, subscribe to us, etc., because that does help us out. It lets us know where we're struggling so we can try to fix it and all that fun stuff. But with that being said, my name is Richie Stevens, joined by Joel and Jonathan. And as always, enjoy the books you love. If there's a recommendation you want us to talk about, shoot us a message. Let us know. We have a huge lineup for the rest of the year, or for the first part of the year so far, going through the first quarter, and we are excited to bring them. The next episode, we will be discussing the Heartfire Healer series in the Viridian Gate Online, which is, a spinoff to the main story for Viridian Gate Online by E.C. Godhand.
Okay.
And that's going to be a really fun episode because we always love a good healer, and there's not enough books on that. So that's going to be a fun time. But we hope you have a wonderful night. Normally, we will stream on Sundays for our show. It's every other Sunday. So the 16th will be our next episode, if Joel doesn't sleep through it.
Yeah, that was a thing.
That was a thing. I'm still mad about that, but don't care. I love you. You're still coming out here, so I'll just get you back somehow. So we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. And like I said, follow, give a subscribe, hit the bell so you get the notifications. Joel and I will be doing some regular streams on this channel where we co-stream either Diablo, Monster Hunter, etc. And of course, we have our deep dives coming out soon. Which, Joel, what did we choose for the deep dive name? Was it Full Immersion? Was that what our title was going to be?
Yes. So whenever we have our guests on, I think we're going to call them boss encounters, because authors are like freaking awesome bosses. And then for our deep dives, where we like delve into the series more, maybe go into some theory crafting, those will be called deep dives, right?
I thought we were going with Full Immersion dives or something like that.
It might be full immersion.
But
we don't know. We might put a poll up.
Yeah, that's how we got level 2. And of course, Zeckler WGD will be joining us for those, and he's going to be the third official member for the channel. So welcome, Zeckler. I said it last time, but welcome again. And also, one show we are very excited that we're going to try to get is our Monster Punk series going.
Yeah.
We got to reach out to HP.
I got that.
Yeah, we got our signed copies in the mail. I'm very excited about that. But as always, this has been Stats on Stats. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful night, day, whatever it is when you're listening to this.